Odd Conduit Media.
What's it gonna be?
You are now listening to the
Hyrule Podcasters! Rumble, rumble. Hey there, all you breathers of the wild, too. Welcome to an in-betweener episode of
Hyrule Podcasters.
I'm your co-host, Pat.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
On this podcast, we usually play through each game in Nintendo's Zelda franchise.
You got that right.
But today, we're not going to play a game because we're in between seasons. Instead,
We're going to bring you some live reactions from E3, which was just yesterday for here in the U.S. for us.
And I haven't seen all the news. I believe Ben has watched the whole thing. Am I correct?
I did. I watched it live yesterday. Yep.
But I know some of the tidbits, and I'm excited to find out a little bit more. And then we're going to kind of do a preview of our upcoming season, which is going to launch next week.
Correct.
Where we're going to read through some of the instructional booklet for A Link to the Past, which we're both super excited to play.
Yeah, we became a part of this community, the audio only Let's Play community, and one of the things that they said is you should definitely read the manual for these older games. And they're 100% correct. I'm on vacation right now. I spent my morning reading through the manual.
Oh, cool.
And there's just so much. It's amazing how much information is in there. I went back and reread the first two games, and they would have been so helpful if you had no idea what you're doing. I've always played those games just like jumping into them.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that my friend David, who's recently started developing games on a very small level, I might have mentioned him in the first season, pointed out was that he doesn't like games where you have to read a lot in the game and you need a lot of instructions. He prefers the Mario method where you walk to the right. Oh, what's that? Jump on it.
Got it.
What's that? Do a thing. But what I'm realizing is that these old games have so much information in the manuals and very cool artwork and some added lore, but, and important instructions that might, have made the times that I tried to play The Adventure of Link a lot easier.
And so we've been able to find pretty much, and we'll link to it on Twitter and in the show notes, the manual comes right from Nintendo. They have digitized a lot of manuals from older games. And so that's what we're going to be going through. So with that, I think we should jump into some of the news that we got at yesterday's Nintendo Direct and just get some initial thoughts from both of us. So the first thing, obviously the biggest news to come out was the little Game & Watch thing.
Yeah.
Right? That's the biggest news?
That's the most important thing that happened yesterday
Absolutely.
at the Nintendo Direct.
Because what Patrick and I both need is another device to play the Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2, and Link's Awakening are all going to be on this little tiny device. And I even love that they're going to have the timer and the clock are like playable levels.
Yeah, the clock being a playable level is actually really cool and kind of sold me on the fact that I need this, even though I don't need this.
I mean, you have like 14 Game Boys.
I have about 18 now, I think.
Okay.
You just gave me a 2DS.
I did give you a 2DS,
almost in the 20s, I believe.
It's a lot. I was at the Nintendo store in Times Square a couple weeks ago, and I think you are competing with them for your display of handheld Nintendo devices.
Yeah, I don't have a micro Game Boy.
If anybody has a micro out there you're willing to sell, let us know. We'll pick that up just to complete the collection.
I had a friend who was going to give me one, and then he didn't give it to me, whatever.
And a micro plays advanced games?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what we're looking at.
Gotcha.
So this little Game & Watch thing is cute. It's like got some green and tan colors.
Classic Zelda, classic NES Zelda.
And you can play The Legend of Zelda, the first game. You can not play the second Legend of Zelda game.
And see, this is where you can tell, if you follow us on Twitter, you can tell which of us runs the Twitter account. Right. Because on the Twitter account, we're very pro Adventure of Link.
Yes.
So if that's any indication as to who is running the Twitter account for us.
And on the Instagram account, we're not very pro The Adventure of Link. If you're watching the video, you would know this, but since most of you aren't, we're wearing matching Link to the Past shirts.
You got these at the grocery store in Toledo?
Kroger's in Toledo.
Gotta love it.
When I was picking up my pickles.
Gotta love it.
But in all seriousness, that looks like a fun little gimmicky device.
A little thing that I will play when I'm riding the subway into work and that kind of stuff. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And if I had one, I'd keep it in the box, and maybe we'll get two and play one and keep one in the box. The big news that everybody's been aching for
would be correct.
Is this new trailer, the first trailer for Breath of the Wild 2, which is why I called you all breathers of the Wild. I guess
the second teaser. Because we had a teaser 2 years ago.
Oh, I didn't even watch it.
Oh, you didn't see that one with like Link and Zelda like walking together?
No.
Like in the cave?
Not interested. I was like, this game is so far out at this point that like I'm going to see something that's not going to be the game.
Okay, that's
so. What's the point? Nintendo. So I have been following Nintendo my whole life. I never assume,
of course,
that they're going to put something out on time, but they're always going to have a good product.
Absolutely.
So I just avoided it. But this, this has a lot of cool stuff. So we're just going to walk through it real quick. It seems that there's something on Link's arm. So the teaser starts off with the darkness, and there's some burning embers and a purple sky. And
a lot of calamity going on here.
It looks like there's some calamity like taking over Link's hand. There's like a mummy-looking guy.
Like a zombie Ganondorf or something.
Yeah, something like that. Zelda seems to fall down into an endless pit.
I'm pretty sure they did that so that way we know she's not going to be a playable character.
That's smart. And now you're falling out of the sky.
And you have very long hair. Mm-hmm. You have like a green tunic.
I'm glad that they went back to the green
tunic-y thing on. Yeah, I like the champion blue.
It's cool.
Yeah,
but they're kind of rewriting the series. And then you get some gameplay. It looks like there's a rock creature with bad guys on it,
which is just awesome. Here they're showing like your arm looks like it's like has like the Sheikah Slate capabilities.
Yeah,
you're shooting fire out of like a dragon head on your arm.
You're dripping upward, backwards through the floor. So it's kind of look like there's some like cloud cities or something going on, kind of like Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
And they might be like tying in some of that lore.
Which 100%, I wasn't going to play the Skyward Sword remake, and they just made me want to play the Skyward Sword remake.
There you go.
Because of this trailer.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, really.
And then the castle seems to rise up and have all types of goopy Ganon stuff underneath it.
Yeah.
And there's just a long shot of the castle just there lingering in the air. And I think this is the last shot, and it fades out very slowly, which is a great little teaser. And 2022 is the last thing that you see.
I would like to remind everyone that December 31st, 2022 is still 2022. That is technically 2022.
Yeah. Don't get your hopes up. It might come out Christmas.
It's like I work for a software company, and we tell people, oh, it'll be in Q3. And we like to remind people, September 30th is the end of Q3, and that still counts because it's in Q3.
Yes.
So we'll have to see what happens here.
So I think that I'm excited to have Link have a little like Samus arm kind of thing going on.
Oh yeah,
because Metroid and Mega Man are my favorites. So give Link a little arm cannon is really cool looking. I like that his hair is a little longer and shaggier. I'm down with that. I think that I don't know if we're gonna get a bird or not.
Oh, a skywing, whatever those things are called, loftwing.
Yeah,
it looks like you're just like doing the parallel, but you just never know. I mean, they're gonna probably come out with something pretty incredible, and I'm excited to play. Do you have any other final thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think that I'm interested to see if Ganon's coming back because this is the first sequel. This is the first direct sequel really since The Legend of Zelda. The rest of are like offshoots and occur in different times.
Oh, I see what you mean.
And none of them are really supposed to happen directly after the games.
Yeah.
Is Majora's Mask directly after?
It's directly after the Ocarina of Time, but only for Child Link.
Okay.
Because that's where the split happens is in Ocarina of Time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a split for one of the timelines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Ganon in Majora's Mask?
I have not played it in a while, but I don't believe.
I don't think he is. So I'm curious to see if they got another enemy.
Yeah.
And just basically how they're going to rewrite this entire series using this game.
Yeah.
Because this is, they have now reset the timeline.
Right.
Everything converges at Breath of the Wild, and now they're taking it in a new direction. And I'm into it. Let's see what happens.
So there were a few other things in the Nintendo Direct. There was a new Smash guy debuted.
A new Smash guy. Do you know who it was?
If you scroll up a little bit, I can see it. Kazuya.
Oh, okay, from Tekken.
And he's from Tekken, which is cool. I know a lot of people in the Discord. One of the Discords I'm in was really excited about the Shin Megami Tensei 5, which is coming to the Switch. Which I think that's an old JRPG series that people have been pretty excited about. So I know people are excited about that.
Oh, cool.
We're both personally excited for WarioWare and the new Mario Party.
Oh yeah, we've been finally able to Mario Party it up. This is our first podcast that we're airing where we're sitting next to each other and recording.
Right. We did a merch video together a couple weeks ago at my place. Now we're at Patrick's place. We played Mario Party 4 for the GameCube last night. Yeah. And as you can imagine, it was some bullshit. And we're keep it in because that's the only way to talk about Mario.
Now we're taking the curse word out so that the children can listen.
But then the last thing that they kicked off Nintendo Direct with, I don't know if you knew that, but the first thing they kicked off with was Metroid Dread.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I love Metroid so much.
It's absolutely, it's your favorite, or is Mega Man your favorite?
I feel like they're two very different things. Mega Man is my favorite, just like pick up and play on a whim game. Right. But Metroid, you can really get like immersed in.
Okay.
So, Desert Island games are going to be Metroid games because Mega Man just gets redundant. Whereas Metroid, you have a whole planet to explore.
Sure, that makes sense.
It looks like it's a direct sequel to Fusion. Or at least it was the game that was going to come out after Fusion. And I've probably played Fusion 100 times. Because it was handheld and I could play it on the subway when I was living in Queens.
Is Fusion the one where you have the Samus X?
Yeah. You got the Parasite, and then you got the it seems fully equipped Samus. I don't know if it's fully equipped. From Super Metroid hunting you, and it is terrifying.
It is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. And Samus looks pretty cool. She seems to have like some cool white armor on. The gameplay looks directly related to or based on the most recent
Samus Returns.
Yeah, or Return of Samus.
One of the two, yeah.
The remake of the sequel, which was just so fun to play, even though I'm very familiar with that original game for Game Boy.
That uppercut mechanic is so much fun.
It's fun.
It really is.
Yes. And I just love a Metroid game, and I'm going to be able to play that handheld, which is just really great.
Yeah.
Very much looking forward to it. What else do we got here? Oh, the Calamity Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity DLC. I was playing Hyrule Wars. I borrowed it from our friend Henry. And he saw that this DLC was coming out, so I gave it back to him, but I will pick it back up.
Like Henry?
Yeah, like Henry Dragonflow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that Henry. Okay. Not Henry Zhang.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I don't know if Henry Zhang knows about our podcast. He's still a gamer. I should hit him up.
Anyway, not to give all his, not to dox him here on our
social security number is.
I think Hyrule Warriors would be a fun game to play, like local co-op with someone.
Yeah,
I played the demo by myself, but it'd be really fun to just be running around Hyrule Field just slashing people with somebody else.
Oh, that would be a blast.
Yeah.
It kind of lost me. I was trying to play it while watching TV. The 2-screen, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it wanted more of my attention than I could give it. So next time I try to play it, I'm just gonna let it be the only thing that I'm paying attention to.
Cool. Well, those were I think the main highlights from the Nintendo Direct. But I can say, I historically didn't pay a lot of attention when E3 was coming around and whatnot. I think doing this podcast and some of the Discord channels we're in and stuff servers have made me just a little bit more aware of what was going on. So I was trying not to get my hopes burnt out, but I was thinking they were probably going to do something related to Zelda, and getting another trailer was really exciting. The Samus news was excellent. They let us know that Metroid Prime 4 is still being worked on.
Yeah,
I mean, think a lot of
giving us a 2D or a side scroller while they work on Prime, which
reasonable.
Is like, thank you. Those games. I mean, I understand a lot of work goes into every video game, but I'm like, how many ideas are there out there for 2D Metroid games? Just give us one.
Right.
And again, I don't ask a lot from Nintendo because you're just going to be disappointed if you want too much. But I'm so excited to play another 2D Metroid. I'm like, when this Breath of the Wild 2 game actually has a release date and pre-orders are up, then I'll let myself be super excited about it. In the meantime, I'll say I'm intrigued and I'm happy that people are, excited about it themselves. My suggestion is go back and play Breath of the Wild again, or one of the, I don't know how many Zelda games there are out there, but go play an old Zelda game. Don't sit around waiting for this game to come out. Just let it inspire you to play some of the old games, and maybe play through Link to the Past with us, which we're starting next week.
Yep. And if you're waiting for something else, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remastered comes out on June 25th.
Oh, yeah!
Which
very
is
cool.
What my mom got me for my birthday.
That's awesome.
And I'm excited to play it. So
lucky you. I'm trying to convince him to get the physical.
Yeah. We had a debate last night. We're not going to have it here. I think what we're going to do is skip Beetle and hop right in.
We're not doing
We're
an ad
skipping
today?
Beetle.
Okay,
No ads.
No ad today.
No ads. Just an in-betweener.
All right. So we're going to take a hard cut. We'll mention that in the notes. And we're going to take a look at the manual for Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past.
So here we go.
All right. It tells you, read this before you do anything, because it might, read it carefully, blah, blah, blah. There's an official Nintendo seal of quality.
Like this right here.
Asks you to read through the booklet. The game pack has a battery backup function to record the progress of the game, which I learned when I got my hands on an original in the box copy of Legend of Zelda for NES.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
There's a little battery that has the save state. So oftentimes you have to replace that battery before you resell them, which if I would have read the thing, I would have known that 20 years ago instead of 20 days ago.
So then we're shown here the contents. And so this manual is 49 pages long. We see there's a 6-page introduction. It very nicely kind of gives us some basic information here in the table of contents about how to move, what our A, B, Y, and X buttons do. Something to remember is that this game is on the Super Nintendo, which means it has 4 buttons for us to deal with. Yeah,
and I've played some NES games using an SNES controller, and it doesn't feel great. I gotta say, it's veering from the topic a little. We played the GameCube last night. I love that controller.
It's a great controller.
That big A button is really cool. I like how I don't think they're ever going to go back to having the buttons different sizes, but I really like that.
So let's dive into
the artwork is really cool. You got a picture of the Master Sword right here with some engraving underneath it.
Probably in Hylian.
Yes.
All right, so we have 4 pages of text. Are we going to read this?
No, we're not going to.
We're not going to read it.
We're just going to look through it.
I think the people in Discord are going to make fun of us for not reading
Creation of Hyrule.
Sorry, Bill.
Has some really cool artwork.
It has
here.
The 3 goddesses.
Blowing wind at people groveling before them, and they kind of look like Zelda.
They look a little bit like Zelda, for sure.
Gates to the Golden Land. Here's some italicized stuff. In a realm beyond sight, the sky shines gold, not blue. There, the Triforce's might makes mortal dreams come true.
So here we're pretty much getting the Triforce exists, kind of where it exists, and how people have been searching for it for time unknown, trying to get to it, so that way they can get their wish granted.
And it says that the Triforce and the goddesses that brought the Triforce came from the skies, which I'm not entirely sure, but it might, be something about Skyward Sword and
I think that's
how it was up in the sky. And might be going back to that. And the next Breath of the Wild, some more cool artwork. Man, the artwork in this is very cool.
So then our next title is The Imprisoning War. And this essentially tells the story about how Ganon try to get the Triforce and these wise men, these 7 wise men and the Knights of Hyrule, they ordered them to seal the entrance to the Golden Land where the Triforce was.
Seal it! Sometimes you gotta seal it up.
Yeah. And the issue for this is because the Triforce, it can't distinguish between good and evil. It just does what is in the hearts of the people that hold the Triforce.
Ah, okay. So just kind of democratic magic here that just goes with whatever holds it.
Yeah, very neutral.
Neutral. And there's this big old war called the Imprisoning War. And then we come down to the coming of the wizard. He's looking creepy. We meet the wizard in A Link to the Past.
Aghanim.
He has a cool picture. And then we finally get to the prologue. One night, a girl's voice awakens you from your sleep.
Help me. My name is Zelda. I'm in the castle dungeon.
And this sounds, she telepathically pleads. This sounds just like the beginning of the game, right? Where you're like sleeping and you hear a voice and it's raining outside.
Yeah. Keep scrolling through this prologue. I did my homework and read through this already and noticed that essentially
passive aggressive jab.
Well, what's really interesting, so this, again, giving you lots of information, once you're here on your quest as a legendary hero, it's going to walk, like if you read this whole thing, it walks you through what you're supposed to do. It gives you your assignment. It even tells you kind of what the first few, hours of the game are actually going to be like and where you're going and what you're trying to do.
Very cool.
Yeah, so you can see this as you scroll through here. It's going to tell you you're trying to, get some pendants of courage. You're trying to get, it might be a little further on in here.
Yeah, well, it's telling you how to set up your character right now and how to view the maps and the subscreens and stuff like that.
Yeah, really, the real exciting stuff.
Using the controller.
But we have some new actions for Link in this game, which is really exciting. So first off, he can walk and attack in all 8 directions. He can leap down off of things. So but they got rid of the jump. So there's no way to make Link jump. He can only jump at certain spots.
Oh, when you say got rid of, you're referring to the second game.
The game you love, yes.
The game that I love. Right. Okay. See, I really only compare this to the first one because, it's like a souped up version of the first one. But yeah, they have gotten rid of the jump, which,
because it's totally top down. You're not going to go into that side scroll thing. So that makes sense that they're not the jump here.
Yeah. They easily bring it back in Link's Awakening. So they could have had it, but it really doesn't affect the gameplay.
No, I don't think so.
A perfect game. Running and hitting objects. You can throw pots, which is probably the best thing to do on an angry day.
Because this is the first game where you start destroying pots, I think. Yeah. But I mean, you're going to get a swim in this game. You're going to get to charge in this game. I was reading when it tells you when you get the Pegasus boots. I don't know if you knew this. You can actually crash into walls to knock them down. So instead of using bombs on some of the walls.
Oh my gosh.
I never tried that. So I'm going to try that. Yeah, I'm really excited to try that.
You get a flute that is actually an ocarina. So we're just going through here. It's showing you a bunch of the map and showing you a bunch of your items. Kind of cool.
And then it gets into heroic equipment. So there are 3 key pieces of equipment that you'll use as a hero. So you have your sword. And there are 4 power levels to the sword. You start off level 1.
4?
4, yeah. The master sword is only level 2. You can actually get 2 additional levels on top of that.
Because you get the guys to ding, ding, ding,
the
get
smitties.
Up for you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Next is the shield. There are 3 levels of the shield.
Cool.
So at first you can only block like basic rocks and things, and eventually you can like reflect beams like a mirror shield.
Oh.
And then lastly you have your armor.
Yeah,
so you start out with your green cloth tunic, but eventually you get the blue mail and the red mail, which is just like from the first game, where you get the rings in that case, but it changes the color. The same thing happens here.
Is that blue or green to you?
That looks blue to me.
Okay. I'm a little blue-green colorblind.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. You're also going to get the Pegasus shoes, which allows you to dash around everywhere.
Cool.
You're going to get the Power Glove and the Titan's Mitt. I love how the Power Glove here, and you had a Power Glove for the NES.
Oh, man, that thing
looks like the Power Glove,
cool,
right?
But it has a 0 function.
You're going to be able to swim around with the Zora's flippers.
I like
So
swimming.
we're going to get to see a new species here with the Zora, which is really exciting. One that will be then kind of around, a friendly rate. You see them as bad guys in the first game.
Yeah.
But now we're going to see them come back and be, I guess, neutral in this game. And then for those of you that haven't played the game, I will say we will probably be spoiling things as we go along here. I don't think this is like necessarily.
Oh yeah, spoilers! Spoilers for days.
So there's a dark world that you will be going in and out of over time, and the Moon Pearl is the thing you have to get in order to not be transformed when you go into the dark world.
Correct. So you don't turn into a bunny rabbit. They tell you how to save the game, which isn't, as Link sitting here by a tree, all worn out. These are some good drawings. The way that Link looks here is the way that he looks in the comics that they put in Nintendo Power.
Oh yeah,
and also that horrible animated show where he goes, "Excuse me, princess," or something like that.
Why'd they give him a voice?
I know, just don't.
He could have just been the silent protagonist.
That's a lot of. The animators would have their hands full with his expressions. So you get some fairies, you get some magical power, which is something that carries over from the second Zelda.
So you'll be able to cast some different spells and things like that in this game. You're also going to be able to get different potions and things like that to refill your they're bringing back heart containers. Although this is the first game where you have to collect pieces of the heart. So in the first two, they were full heart containers everywhere you went.
Cool.
Yeah. There's also the 20 rupee, which is new for this game.
Big money.
We've only had the 1 and the 5.
Big money.
In the past.
You get a fortune teller in this game that will give you hints.
Yeah, which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
And they also heal your wounds, which is pretty cool.
Telling you about the Pond of Happiness. I'm just kind of scrolling through this stuff. Am I going too fast? Dungeon knowledge.
And so here in this section, they give you an entire breakdown of thinking about how to approach dungeons, how to think about dungeons. They let you know that, dungeons have an evil dungeon keeper that's going to be in every labyrinth. And what your first goal is to collect the 3 pennants. So the first one is courage, the next one is power, and the third one is wisdom. And those actually align with the pieces of the Triforce canonically. Yeah.
Nice. I like it says right here, to simplify things, I will refer to such places as the underground labyrinths, the tower, and the inside of the sanctuary as dungeons. So we have now established dungeons, which we will basically use in every game until Breath of the Wild to describe all of these things.
Right, and we found that we get shrines.
And then we get shrines as of Breath of the Wild. And the Fantastic Beasts. Why do I always call them that? Oh, because that's like a Harry Potter thing.
That is a Harry Potter thing, yeah. I think they dropped around the same time, if that makes sense.
What are they? Majestic Beasts in Breath of the Wild?
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The treasure chest and dungeon items. You get the map. A map in a dungeon is a good thing. You get the compass.
And you get the big key. And so these are all being brought back from the first Zelda, besides the big key. The big key, there wasn't a dungeon key you had to find.
Get a key to get into the main boss. The compass I could give or take. If I were speed running, I definitely would avoid. And by speed running, I mean trying to beat the game quickly. I don't think that I'll ever be a competitive speed runner.
Oh, gotcha.
But I would just avoid the compass because you're just wasting a key to get into a room to get a compass, in my opinion. But if you haven't played the game before, that's a super helpful thing. People
are here for your opinion, so they appreciate that.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Great.
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear it. All right.
So they give you some more information
of the map, how to use a map.
Which again, if you haven't ever played the game, is really helpful.
Yeah, certainly. Got some pots you can break, keys and doors. Fragile walls.
You can also try to knock down such walls with a dash attack.
I had no idea.
I know. I'll play this game for this long and never.
I know. That's fun. I wonder if we're going to learn anything else.
We also learn about crystal switches, which if you played these games, this got introduced in this game. And they're the things that make the blue and red different squares lift up and down out of the ground, kind of like pylons.
They're little barricades. You can't get over them.
There you go. That's a good way to put it.
Link is a fearless warrior with an incredible skill set, but can't hop or climb over small barricades.
Yeah.
And as Ben always says, what do you say? You're good at some stuff? Or
I say everyone has their skill sets.
Everyone has their skill sets. That's a a fun way for Ben to say, I'm not good at that, please do it for me, or you're not good at that, please let me do that for you.
That is correct.
It is a fun way to say it. I'm not even being facetious. This is 2 pictures of Link falling down holes, which is just
a little blink it makes at the end.
Yeah, what does he sound like in Breath of the Wild? Ah! Kind of similar to this one. Those are really good sounds.
That is. So now, in this last little bit here, they are going to tell us about every single item in the game.
Wow. And we're not gonna go through all this.
Absolutely not.
But
I think some of the ones that will become staples are things like the hook shot.
Yeah.
The hook shot definitely becomes like a staple across the way. I really love it's either in Skyward Sword or I think it's in Skyward Sword where you get the Spider-Man with the dual hook shots.
Oh wow! I don't remember that at all. But
it's either that or I think in Twilight
Princess and Skyward Sword kind of blend together.
They do for me as well.
In my mind,
yeah.
You played them with the same controller, and they came out both when I was in college.
So then in Chapter 10, it says your quest begins, and it's gonna walk you through. And this is the part I was talking about earlier. It walks you through the first part, and it kind of tells you like what to do, like get to the sanctuary, go east to the temple over there, get the boots, talk to the old man, like all this kind of stuff. So they really kind of walk you through the first part of the game, telling you where to go, which is nice because we have the advantage of foresight and having done this like a whole bunch. But if you were just kind of getting dropped into this, it's all right here on how to first get started with the game.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool. And a brief bestiary. Oh, that's cool. So you get the original artwork for these bad guys. The Stelphos Knight, which is the skeleton with shoulder pads, a shield, and a sword. Ball and Chain Trooper, which could have had a cooler name if you ask me, as what he sounds like. He's an armored...
And this is kind of funny. So they named their mummies Gibdos. And I wonder if that's just I wonder if that is a Japanese word. Like Gibdo is like a Japanese word.
Well, everything is singular, so I think it's Gibdos. With a soft S.
Gotcha.
So maybe 2 would be Gibdos.
But why not like a mummy?
Right, after calling it the Ball and Chain
Trooper, you'd think, yeah.
Geldman.
So we see our Hinox here, which are the Cyclops characters, which we'll eventually see in a much different form.
That's the same character from Breath of the Wild.
Correct. And speaking of Hinoxes,
big.
Mom just beat her first Hinox like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I'm so proud of you, Mom.
I know. It was great.
It's all about that bow and arrow. So the Geldman.
Mom, call me when you hear this part to show that you actually listen to our podcast.
Wow, really putting her on blast. We'll keep you updated to see if she calls us. The Geldman is a sandman, and Geld is gold in German.
That's great. Moving on.
Or is money in German and comes from gold.
Yeah,
so
moving on.
From color. You don't like my linguistics input? So you got a Snapdragon.
Which is just this freaky looking Venus flytrap thing with legs that's coming for you with a giant set of teeth.
A Helmosaur, which looks like a little dinosaur with a helmet.
We got our Wizrobes back.
The Wizrobes are back. And that's all they give you. And then there's a warranty and service information. So the warranty and service information says, hardware only to expedite authorization. Just kidding. I'm not going to read. You were supposed to stop me there, Ben.
I was going to let you go.
Wow.
I was going to see how far you would go.
And that's it.
So what are you most looking forward to with A Link to the Past?
Well, I played it a year ago. And it was a lot of fun. But I gotta say, it's kind of a pain in the butt playing alone because I don't like to keep track of where I am or how to navigate the map. So I'm really looking forward to playing it with you so that I don't have to spend so much brain energy trying to figure out what to do next, because I just love getting into the dungeons and trying to solve puzzles and beat up bad guys. That's just my jam in this game. It's so much fun.
It's kind of like how I'm home right now playing Link's Awakening, and you just sitting there in the room with me. You're like, oh yeah, you just gotta go that way. Oh yeah, just go to that. You gotta do this.
Very familiar with Link's Awakening. And
it is nice. It's nice just to have somebody kind of be like, I will guide you. Oh.
Yeah, totally. What about you? What are you looking forward to?
Well, I had tried to convince Patrick to let us try and beat the game without collecting any heart containers to try and make it interesting.
And I decided that would just end up, I'm the producer, right? So I decided that this would just end up be me editing out us dying all the time. And so I said no. But hey, maybe we could make it a Patreon goal years down the road to play the game that way.
With just like 3 hearts.
And we'll only get better at these games.
That's the goal, at least.
I guess, you never know what's going to happen, but that certainly is the goal.
I'm excited to play this again because this was the first game that you and I probably really played together. Mm-hmm. The first Zelda game that we probably really played together. Right.
Sit down.
Going through it. And just trying to re-experience that and think about that and playing it in a new way. I'm all about recently the idea of like self-concept, and when I normally play video games, like who am I, versus when we play for the podcast, like who am I, right? And trying to like tap back into like, right, like who were we when we played these the first time, and trying to like rethink that and approach it in that way for the like joy and excitement that like come with that a lot of the times.
Back in the day, you cut down every bush hoping to find a secret and those kind of things, and you were young and unfamiliar with it, and you had your imagination and your whole life ahead of you and didn't have an incredible amount of debt. And did I get too serious? We should
deep here on the podcast.
We should have a sound effect for season 2 when I get too serious. Maybe we'll figure that out. Well, I guess okay, the instructional booklet's read. Let's call it a day and start playing tomorrow.
I think that sounds great, Patrick.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to our in-betweener episode of
Hyrule Podcasters.
Have a good one. Next time we talk to you, we will be linking to the past. Thanks, everybody.
See y'all. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of
Hyrule Podcasters.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Hyrule Podcasters and on Twitter at Hyrule Podcaster.
As always, this episode was produced by Patrick, and we'd like to thank Lieutenant Headtrip for our awesome theme.
Additionally, if you'd like to directly support us, you can head over to our Patreon page. Patreons get early access to episodes, access to our private Discord server, and more. Links to everything can be found in the show notes.
And be sure to rate and review us in Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen.
Odd Conduit Media.